Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for choosing Across the Fence. I'm Will Michael in for France Stoddard. Today we're going to get a glimpse at the future of Vermont in terms of our agriculture, our food, and the markets for our products. Joining us via Zoom is Vermont's Secretary of Agriculture, Food and Markets, Anson Tebbetts. Good afternoon, and thanks for being with us, Anson.
Good afternoon, Will. Great to be with you.
So I just promised a glimpse into the future, and by that I mean let's begin with the state budget signed earlier this month by Governor Scott. What's in the budget of your department that will shape our state's future?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of positive news in that budget. One area is the Working Lands program. Folks may be familiar with that program. It's been around a number of years, and it provides grants to those that are working the land, either a farm or maybe in the forestry sector. But we got an incredible amount of money this year to be able to manage that program, over $3 million, which is, on an average year, we're having about $400,000 to distribute to our farmers and producers. So we're excited about that, and we think that will make a big difference to get more local food on to our Vermonters, and also help us get more of Vermont products across the countryside.
Can you pause and give us maybe an example of what this would translate to a Vermonter, a farmer, somebody who's interested in applying for one of these grants?
Yeah, it helps with infrastructure. So let's take maybe a slaughterhouse. Tremendous need right now to get more animals through and get more meat on our table in Vermont. So it may allow a slaughterhouse to get that needed piece of equipment. Maybe it's a piece of a packaging equipment that could help. Those plants are expensive to run, so this makes it more affordable for those Vermont businesses to have this grant. But it also helps those along the way as well. So if it can be more affordable for the slaughterhouse and it can be more efficient, that means more animals might be able to be processed through time, and that helps the farmer who's raising those animals, whether they be beef or pork or lamb. So it helps those along the way, and that's kind of the focus of the program, to have an impact across the countryside, not just one business, but it's helping other businesses along the way.
That's an economic development message, I think, is what I'm hearing you say first and foremost.
We were really focused on that across the legislature this year. The governor proposed a number of economic development proposals. We were appreciative that the legislature also took up a number of those and funded a number of those. We have one through the Agency of Commerce. It's a $40 million program that they're going to manage, but a number of farm businesses or producers will be eligible for those grants as well. That's going to be rolled out over the next few weeks and months, but that's a $40 million program that also can help with some of that infrastructure. If they can't make it through the Working Lands program, there's a chance that some of these businesses can be helped through this Commerce Agency program. So a lot of focus on economic development. We were fortunate to have some federal money that came our way, and of course the state budget has seen surpluses that you and I have not seen in a number of years. So using some surplus one-time money to shore up some of these businesses for the future.
And I heard you say both the Working Lands program and this community engagement program through the Agency of Commerce are both grant programs, meaning that it's providing support to Vermonters, but it also has some protection for Vermont taxpayers. This is a grant program.
Absolutely, and that's a big difference. We do have a lot of loan programs, and of course, a lot of farms don't want to take out any more loans than they have to. So these programs are really vetted. There'll be people that will look at them and make sure that the taxpayer is being protected here, that it also has we want to transform what's happening out there on the landscape. And it may be from these economic development programs to some of the environmental programs that are out there. Another program that's going to be helping our farmers through some extra dollars this year is something through our agronomic practices, more cover crops, more environmental programs for our farmers that received a $5 million boost. We've got that program that will be rolling out. So that's going to be really helpful for our farmers to cut some of the costs, but it's also helping the environment. It will help with our message to try to help with the climate change and so forth by protecting the soil and carbon and so forth. So that's encouraging as well, both on the economic development front, but on the environmental front, we had some extra dollars there for our farmers.
Anson, as we're looking to the future, it was just a few years ago you hosted a summit, your agency did. There were a number of things that were talked about, and as I recall, goat dairying and goat meat was one of the issues that came out of that. What can you tell us about a goat meat or dairy industry?
Yeah, that was one of the priorities. And from that summit that we held up in Jay, it was a summit on the future of dairy, came the Northeast Dairy Business Innovation Center was actually hatched up there. And we talked about we needed to really focus on some programs that look at dairy in a new way. And one of those is goat dairies. We do have a significant startup goat dairy in Hyde Park now, run by the Jones family. They decided to sell their cows and move to goats. They made that big transition, and we were able to support them through the Working Lands program. We talked about that earlier. They were able to get some dollars to help with the milking equipment, because the milking equipment is much different for goats than it is cows. But now they're shipping their milk to Vermont Creamery in Barre, Websterville. They need a considerable amount of goat's milk. So we need to think about if there's an opportunity for more farmers in Vermont to look at goat dairy as an option. The Jones family is excited about what they're doing. It was a big change for them. It may not be for everyone, but they're happy of how they've made the change. They're probably about a year and a half into it now, but they have a different style of farming now. They're not spending as much on fuel. They're not spending as much on feed. They're not having to lease as much land as they were in the past, and the manure is managed in a much different way that they like right now. So it's a thing that we're continuing. We need more of them, and we're just going to continue to think maybe others might make that switch as well, because Vermont Creamery definitely does need the milk.
And we again, that's an example: economic development and markets for our products. Speaking of markets for our products, you and I were together at the Procter Maple Research Center back in March, and your agency, we talked about playing a major role in the maple industry. So pull out the crystal ball. What are you seeing in terms of the future of maple in Vermont? Any new markets, any growth in the maple industry?
Well, maple continues to grow. We now have the results from the what happened last season. And it was an incredible year for maple. The weather really cooperated, but also we're seeing more taps going in as well. So the combination of more taps and the growth of that industry, we had about a 46% increase in production this last year. So we had about 2.5 million gallons produced this year, and that was an 800,000 gallon increase over last year. The weather really cooperated well into April for a number of our sugar makers, and that growth is going to continue. Now, as you mentioned, the challenge is to market that maple, and there are opportunities, I believe, to get maple to places outside of Vermont and New England where it may not be as familiar as a natural sweetener. It's great for cooking in the morning, for lunch and evening, and it's being used in sauces and barbecue sauces and salsas, also in spirits and beer. So I think there's an opportunity to continue to grow that, and talking with everyone at U of M Extension, and Mark at U of M Extension has talked about, he continues to see the growth in maple in Vermont.
We just have a couple of minutes left, Anson. There's going to be some events coming up. First, Breakfast on the Farm in July, and of course we're about to hit Fairs and Field Days seasons. Share some quick thoughts about the excitement, the economic development, and the opportunities to reconnect with your fellow Vermonters at some of these events.
Yeah, Breakfast on the Farm is back. It's been remote for the last couple of years, but we're going to have one big event this year. It's going to be in Addison County on July 16th at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a chance for Vermonters to get on a farm and see how a Vermont farm is owned and operated now. It's going to be at the Gusliga Farm in Addison. So that's coming up on July 16th. And if you can, get to a farm, get to a field day, get to a fair. They're really important to our rural economy. You get a snapshot of seeing, what it's like out there being in the rural economy, and support your fairs and field days. They are very challenging to operate because they're run by a number of volunteers, but they're a slice of Vermont, and they need our support. So if you get a chance to do that, they start in July and run through August, right up into September, ending with the Tunbridge Fair and the Big E.
Just around the corner, a quick final topic for today, a matter of life and death for Vermonters and their animals, which is highlighted in a new public service announcement.
I'm Anson Tebbetts.
And I'm Mike Sterling.
We're teaming up to remind Vermonters how important these animals are to our state.
Today, Vermont is home to over 75,000 horses. You'll see them on hillsides, farms, fairs, and sometimes on our roadways.
Horses can react unpredictably, risking riders' lives, their horses, and drivers. Give them a wide berth while riders remain in single file to the right.
Please don't honk, rev your engine, or swerve towards a horse and rider. Let's respect Vermont's important horse community. You could save a life.
Well, clearly a message that speaks for itself, Anson. It's an important reminder.
Yeah, a lot of horses, a lot of vehicles out there. They've got to share the road, approach those horses if you see them respectfully, give a lot of room to them. Don't honk your horn, don't rev the engine, and just be aware that we want to share the road with our equine friends and also our vehicles. It's an important safety message, and we're happy to team up with the Vermont Horse Council on that.
Well, we want our viewers to know that they get more information about the work being done by Anson's Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets by checking the website on your screen, or you can call the agencies with any questions you have, and that number is 828-2430. Secretary of Agriculture Anson Tebbetts, thank you very much for spending time with us today. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Will, and thank you everyone for supporting our farmers and our producers. We really appreciate it.
Well, that is our program for today. We know you have choices, so thanks for choosing us. I'm Will Michael, inviting you to join us back here each weekday afternoon for another visit across the fence.